Hello, Memphis Tiger fans, and welcome to the Tigers Den, where we talk all things Tiger athletics. Today, I should say, we're talking all things Memphis football. Had to wait about 24 hours to talk about that game from yesterday. A lot of emotion, a lot of words I can't say on right now. But John, let's go ahead and get into it. We got John started in the Tigers Den with us tonight. Thank you to everybody watching and listening right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Feel free to shoot some comments in the comment section. We will get them up on the screen, and we will also answer them on air. John, man, let's just go ahead and get into it, dude. Uh, Big win yesterday. Wasn't the prettiest, but Memphis comes away. We get out of Denton, squeak out with a 45-42 win. So, John, let me just quickly, before we start getting into all the details of the game, just give me your overall synopsis.
And now it's a crowd of 18,062 at that game down in Texas. It didn't seem like 18,000 on ESPN Plus. So I've been down there to a football game before on homecoming when they played SMU maybe like 5 years ago. And they supported the football team. First of all, I do want to give the fans that showed up to that game a lot of credit as well, because I know you had a lot of stuff going on in the Dallas weekend. You had the World Series going on in Game 2 yesterday down in Arlington, Denton, Dallas area. You had the Cowboys playing today as they're playing right now against the Rams. But the people that actually went to that game, the Memphis fan base and also North Texas fan base, kudos to y'all battling out in that rain. And it didn't clear up till like 15 minutes before game time, it seemed. So congratulations to all the fans that showed up and supported their teams in that one. But yeah, overall thought so far, we jumped out to a good lead, 31-7. We ran the ball great, threw the ball great. Yeah, Seth didn't have any touchdown passes until we'll get to that in a minute, until like later on in the game. But overall, great effort. I think in the first half it showed 31-7. We ran the ball 2 plays, seemed like 130 yards for Blake Watson to the house. So great start. And what about you?
Man, I mean, once again, Memphis gets off to a fast start. On both offense and defense, you get a quick 3-and-out on that first drive. And I mean, really, when you look at the offensive performance in the first half and look at the defensive performance going into halftime, 95% of the fan base out there thought it was going to be a win. There's always that 5% of the fan base that just wants Ryan Sofield to lose no matter what game is being played. But it's John. I mean, we got to have this conversation. I don't understand why this team cannot hold a lead. I mean, kudos to them for finishing it off. I was literally screaming in my living room as Seth threw that last pass. And they kept showing his parents. God bless those people. I feel horrible. I mean, that's rough, man, to show a kid's parents, and he's just a kid, 20 years old. But Seth had another 300-yard performance, which makes what is 13th now, 14th now.
Mm-hmm.
So he is first all time with 300-yard performances. Man, you got to give the kid credit. He's also third all time now in all-time passing yards. People want him benched, though. Like we talked about last week. When you look at this team, John, I mean, let's just pull some stats up, right? So Memphis total passing was 330 yards on the ground, through the air, 270 through the on the ground, 41 rushing attempts, 6.6 per carry, 5 rushing touchdowns for the Tigers yesterday, for a total of 600 yards, John. 600 yards on 69 plays, which gave a total of roughly 8.7 per play. Tigers did a pretty good job in punts, did a pretty good job in all the special teams as far as that is concerned. But, John, when you look at this rushing attack, made a post on 4-Star Sports Media this morning. Brandon Thomas, young man out of North Little Rock, Arkansas, now ranks tied for 7th all time in rushing touchdowns with 22. He's just a couple away from a guy that we know very well, Mr. Doylan Dorsey, who played for the Tigers from 2007 through 2013. But John, I'm glad to see Brandon Thomas back on the field, man. 3 rushing touchdowns for BT yesterday. A young man that we've had on the show. We've talked to him a couple of times. Really good kid. But John, this is another one. We talk about that running back room. We saw Sutton Smith play well yesterday. Obviously we talked about Blake Watson. Portal players, we talked about it last week. We've been talking about it all season. Another portal player that makes a big impact on this team. But man, I'm so glad to see Brandon Thomas back, getting carries and Big Tutu making some plays, man.
Yeah, you definitely really never know what position or how many backs Memphis can possibly use because we still are anxious to see Ducker as well because I know Ryan's been saying we're trying to put a different package in for him just to get him on the field. But like you mentioned, Thomas is doing his part right now, so it's definitely kind of hard to put a 4 running back package out there right now because you got so many great running backs as Thomas, as Watson, then like you mentioned, Sutton Smith.
Yeah.
But first of all, I want to give our offensive line a lot of credit as well at times. Yeah, he had a 270 rushing, but after the first quarter, 134 rushing yards after the first quarter. But the reason I am bringing up our offensive line is because 1 sack the whole ball game. 1.
Yeah, it's huge.
So
it's huge,
especially with North Texas. At times could definitely throw out the kitchen sink at you and blitz numerous players, which was kind of hard to tell on the ESPN Plus coverage that we got. But that's huge on the offensive line for our offensive line that usually gives up maybe like 3 or 4 a game at times as well. But yeah, other than that, our offensive line played a great game at times. But it made me have to go back. I won't have to go back and watch the film again because after the first half, what did North Texas do different? I want to see what North Texas did different to stop our run. Maybe the offensive line just didn't block properly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I do know this, though, that we had some history made yesterday. We talked about Brandon Thomas, but also Blake Watson. Blake Watson, for just the second time in program history, is a player. Blake Watson totaled over 100 yards rushing and over 100 yards receiving. He had 169 and 100 yesterday. He now joins Kenneth Gainwell, who did it in 2019. So, I mean, kudos to that guy, man. And also, as a matter of fact, he ended the game with a combined 269 yards rushing and receiving yards. So he had 169 through the on the ground, 100 through the air on 22 touches. That total ranks 4th all time in a single game at Memphis, trailing just Kenneth Gainwell, who had 307, and then obviously the great D'Angelo Williams, who did it twice, 281 and 273. So we talk about Blake Watson. We talk about this running attack. We talk about Seth Hennigan. Had an incredible game yesterday. Anybody that questions that guy's drive and that guy's want to and his passion for this football team is looking at this football team with blinders on, and they're not paying attention to the whole story. And I mean, I got some things to say to some fans later on at the end of the show too. But let's talk about defensively, John. First half,
receivers.
Okay.
Can we talk about receivers real quick?
Go ahead.
Because I want to talk. Like you brought up Blake Watson, 5 for 100. Skates, 3 catches for 44 in that long 32-yard pass. Bring up our receivers because Skates really did not get enough touches the last couple of ball games because he has had trouble dropping key position or at key spots catching the football. So I want to give Skates a lot of credit for just battling through that as well the last couple of games and catching the one that mattered at the end of the ball game. And it's good to see him back on the field as well.
Yeah, I like Joe, man. We talked to him last year. We talked a lot about Joe's why, and his why has nothing to do with football, man. It's his kid. So when you look at Joe Skates, had a big drop, had a big costly drop, honestly. Big costly drop in that game, but to come back at the end and to be able to have that connection with his quarterback, to trust that Joe's going to go up and make that play. And that was a 50-50 ball. When you go back and look at it, I mean, the defender could have easily made a play on that ball, but kudos to Joe on that play. John, the
Yeah,
thing at the bottom there says, go ahead.
like Seth brought up in the post game interview, which I listened to before we came on. Basically, the safety kind of bided as well in that position where the corner, like you said, the corner could have easily had a 50-50 chance also. So that when the safety comes up like that, or not even looking for the ball at times, it kind of landed in Skate's perfectly hands as well in that catch.
It did, and it was a beautiful pass, great touch there by Seth. The question at the bottom says, has Memphis figured out how to win on the road? This is a two-part question. The first question is this: when is Memphis going to figure out how to keep a lead? When are we going to do this? And I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, it's the coaching staff. You gotta get rid." It's not the coaching staff, man. It's there's numerous things that go into it. Uh, let's talk about second half though, John. There was a few times that there was some guys that were out of position. Let's just call it what it is, okay? Especially on a couple of those touchdown passes, you saw Simeon Blair get sunk up, as well as Sincere Evans on a couple of those plays as well. He got baited. He got baited in. The guy went over the top. And let's just call a spade, man. That little quarterback from North Texas is not a bad little quarterback. I also think there's a little bit of a rivalry maybe brewing between these two programs, which I like to see. I enjoy the North Texas rivalry. It goes back to the New Orleans Bowl. There's a circle of history there between these programs. But when you look at it defensively, John, tackling is getting better. I have noticed that. We're tackling better at times. We're tackling better. There's just a disconnect. I haven't figured it out, man. I don't know if it's play calling. I don't know if it's execution or a combination of the two. But this Memphis team, it's been a while now, man. UTSA a couple years back, Tulane just a few weeks ago. I mean, you know what I mean?
Houston.
I mean, Houston. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that game, man. I mean, it's.
It kind of reminded me last night though.
But it did. It really did. But then at the same time, we're 6-2. I mean, you can be upset, you can be mad, but we didn't lose. We won the game. We're 6-2.
I think the
you know what I'm saying. I mean, there's a frustration there, and trust me, I was worked up yesterday. That's why I couldn't.
We all were.
I had to wait. Yeah, hell yeah, I was pissed. I said some things. I had to walk and pray. But there was times in that game yesterday where I had doubt, and that hasn't happened in a while. But it's just, I don't know, man. Do we become complacent on offense? Because I don't feel like we really did anything different. Play calling. I mean, maybe I'm looking at it crazy. I don't know. Am I?
I think the thing that worried you the most was how North Texas basically
they were going through us like a hot knife through butter.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. 21 points in that fourth quarter, and 4 plays, 10 plays, and 5 plays. That's the main thing that concerned me going into that fourth quarter, looking at the fourth quarter again, because a lot of people are doing that speed up offense now as well because they're keeping the players off track where they can't sub at times and they can sub. But like you mentioned, our defense, are tackling a little bit better, but they're still not turning around looking for the football when it matters most. And that's what still concerns me. Like, for example, I'm not saying I don't know what the deal is, and maybe he's battling the injury bug the last couple of weeks, but Greg Rubin hasn't really been out there that much either. The last 2 ball games, he only had 1 tackle yesterday against North Texas. And I think you need that leadership on that football field. I know if he's at 100%, heck, put him out there. He's been that leader for you. He went from cornerback to safety for you as well. And he's definitely one of your leaders on defense to basically look for that football when it matters most. But the thing that concerned me was those short drives and giving up the big plays, 30 yards here, 40 yards here on passing the football. And like you mentioned, North Texas quarterback is not a bad quarterback. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the American with Seth Hennigan, and Rodgers is one of the top quarterbacks in the American. I think our quarterback room in our conference, I'll take it up there, from not saying it's better than the bigger conferences, but I'm definitely taking it better than other conferences like the Conference USA and the Sun Belts and everything like that, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, but my thing is Ryan
I can tell
Silverfield.
you this, man. When it comes to
Yeah,
quarterbacks, I'd take that kid from Tulane to give me a
yeah.
game-winning drive in a heartbeat. look at the
Oh yeah,
last few weeks, John. Look at Tulane. He did it against UAB. He did it against North Texas. Hell, he did it against Memphis. I mean, he did it
came
against
back and beat Rice
USC
yesterday.
last year. He came back and beat Rice yesterday. I mean, you look at Michael Pratt. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a Seth Kinnigan fan. I love the kid. Great young man. I'm just saying, you brought up a great point. When you look at the quarterbacks in the American Athletic Conference, I think a lot of them are underrated. I think a lot of them are overlooked just because of the conference. And I mean, is that a shitty way of looking at it? Yeah, probably so. But that's how the nation observes the offense. But John, when you talk
But
about
also,
the defense
hey,
yesterday,
you also got Casey Thompson from Florida Atlantic. But still, my problem is
great point.
Ryan Silverfield. You got 3 timeouts in the fourth quarter, and you're not using a timeout on defense. Give your guys a breather, regroup, and everything like that. You got to use, like North Texas had to use their last timeout on offense just to get your guys a breather. That's my problem.
I
Why don't you? That's my problem. Use a timeout on
yeah,
defense, regroup, and get in the guys' faces and say, "Hey, let's get away. Let's get it." Like you saw Ryan Silverfield not even using his headset. I know other coaches do it, but you only see Coach Silverfield using his headset and talking to defensive coaches when they showed him on TV. You don't see him in the huddle. Yeah, they showed him for like a minute, but you don't see him in the huddle and getting these guys' faces and say, "Hey, let's get a stop here. Let's get back on the bus and get to the airport ASAP," instead of basically scaring our fan base that showed up to the game. And with 30 seconds to go, yeah, North Texas wins the ball game almost. There's no reason for that.
no, I mean,
Use your timeouts wisely, so they don't go home with
you
you.
have to. You have to. Bobby Bowden said it best. You can't take them to heaven. I mean, but when you look at this defense, John, great point by the way. You got to be more conscious of time management. But when you look at the defense, man, another portal player. God, I feel like we keep talking about these kids. Chandler Martin
Right.
yesterday, man, total of 6 tackles. Ended up getting a sack as well. But Memphis yesterday, 3 sacks. I love the sacks. I love the quarterback hurries. 5 quarterback hurries. To me, the stat, and I'm a big stat guy, dude. I look at quarterback hurries before I look at stats because quarterback hurries create issues, create turnovers. 5 quarterback hurries yesterday for Memphis, 6 pass breakups. I like what I'm seeing from this deep. Yes, they gave up what seemingly was 43 unanswered points. But I'm telling you, man, I like this defense. I said it at the beginning of the year. I'm going to stand on my word. I think this defense has the potential to be one of the best we've seen in the history of Memphis. And I think when you look at the talent that's on this side of the ball, Julian Barnett yesterday, 5 total tackles, 5 solo tackles, as a matter of fact. All of them were solo. But I mean, Brumfeld played well. Jalen Allen, Jay Boogie is so much fun to watch at the linebacker position, man. Jeffrey Canton Arku, that guy, man, you get him in a press conference and you really got to listen to understand what he's saying because he's got that strong French accent, and I love it, man. I really do. Silverfield calls his hands his Canadian mitts, and I think that's hilarious to me. But, John, we talked about this guy yesterday. By the way, Greg Rubin, John, had one tackle, 1 solo, 1 tackle yesterday in the game. But when you look at this defense, who are some guys that I know you mentioned Greg Rubin, but who are some guys on this defense? And then we're going to get to the topic that we haven't got to yet. But who are some guys on this defense that you really want to see start making more of an impact?
Let's do Simeon Blair. I know he's like yesterday. He had 4 tackles for the game. Sometimes, and I also want to see Diago Brumfield turn around more often. Turn around and look for the football. I'm not saying that enough, but please turn around and look football.
That's something that I feel like I've been saying as a Memphis fan since
1990.
about.
We were
Well, I
5
mean, I'm
years
just
old.
thinking. I'm just thinking, man. I know it was the Rip Shearer days for sure, because he ran that stupid bracket defense, which didn't stop anybody. But anyway, yeah, I agree, man. I like to see Simeon Blair be a little more involved. He has been recently. Got his first interception, career interception, just last week as well. Um,
All right, I'll add the next
I
one. How
just want
about
to see this.
Spears?
This,
Spears, number
yeah,
40.
that's another one. That's another one. He had a nice game yesterday. He made some impact late in the game. Um, that's another one. But I tell you, the guy that I really am excited and I want to see him is Cremonte Hamilton, man, the big guy out of Ohio State. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see that guy raise hell, and as well as Josh Ellison. You know who I'm talking about, the kid out of Oklahoma, a real talented 4-star kid coming out of high school. Um, and we all know what those stars mean. So, but man, hey, I said it last week. I'll say it again. Thank you, Arkansas, for Simeon Blair and Reed Bauer. I appreciate you, Miss Memphis fans. We appreciate it.
Hey, you still
And
should
then
have put it on 4th and 7.
yeah,
You got one of the best
but
punters out there. Just say it.
yeah, I'm just saying.
You can delay. Hey, take a delay game and put it.
Yeah, I agree. But John, let me ask this, man. It wasn't a pretty win yesterday, but it was a win. And if you look at true road games, guess what? Memphis is undefeated this year. So when you look at it, John, are we figuring out how to win on the road? We're winning close games on the road. We talked about it 2 weeks in a row now. And we'll talk about it at the end, but the Tigers are coming back home. Thank God. Because road games get weird for them. Yeah, we need that.
Preach, brother, preach.
Yeah. So, and I mean, it's a Central Florida, South Florida team too. But I mean, looking at the stats, I know the game was ugly. I know it wasn't pretty, but we won. Have we figured out how to win on the road?
Like we talked about last week, I mean, nothing against the predictions out there and everything like that. But I really did think, like we talked about last week, this week was a trap game. Last week was a trap game just because they were both on the road. One, because, like I said, you never know how a player can react going back to his hometown, like Seth Hennigan did this week and last week against UAB and to it. See, it's crazy that I bring this up is because some of these players have never really been to these campus stadiums, even in maybe like high school football. Maybe Seth is, used to it. But, hey, we got number 5 win for Ryan Silverfield on the road. That's what matters to me most. They got the win. I mean, we still got, 2 more road games? We still got to play at Temple and at Charlotte. So,
Yep.
I'm going to say
neither one of those are going to be easy. I'll say it right now.
Yeah, because 1, you're playing on an NFL field, and then 2, you're playing a Charlotte team who's had ups and downs throughout the last couple of years, so you really don't know. But
Yeah.
I'll say as of right now, maybe, I guess. That's a good way to put it. I can't really give an answer because I know it's a week-to-week answer with everybody, but I'm hoping that we have found a way to win on the road. Like I said, the last 2 weeks are definitely trap games for anybody that's playing those 2 teams on the road on back-to-back weekends.
No doubt. And I mean, I think this is it. I don't know we figured out how to win. I think we're learning how to win on the road. And I think that's something that's been a work in progress for not only Silverfield as a coach, as a staff, all that, but as a team and as a program. But John, real quick, man. So how big was this win? Well, just to throw a little bit of historical facts on this, Memphis now being 6-2, reaching 6 wins before the end of October for just the 9th time in program history, and for the first time since 2019. And we all know what coach was there then, and it's the one that all Memphis fans still wish was here, but he's in Tallahassee chopping it up. So, John, let's talk about this, man. Big move for Silverfield. 6-2. Yeah. Oh, Norvell. That's who Chase Tweet, David Sowell, and everybody else on the freaking Memphis Tiger fan page still wants to be their head football coach. Michael Posey too. So, but man, here's the thing, John. When you look at, I don't care. When you look at this Memphis team, 6-2, John, 10th consecutive bowl. I don't care what the fans tell me. This is a big win. When you look at, we talked about it, Boise State game. We talked about 20 years ago this season, Memphis broke a 32-plus year bowl streak. Now we're in our 20 years later, we've been to 10 straight. So what does that tell you, John? Simple math tells you there's 10 years in there somewhere that we didn't go to consecutive bowls, right? But Silverfield is also a lot better in bowl games than previous head coaches. Not going to mention name. But when you look at it, John, this was a big win, and it's big because, well, I know it's big because now Memphis is now heading. It's bowl eligible. It's what Tommy West talked about in the interview that we did with him when he took the job at Memphis. He had fans and he had people within the university telling him what? Don't talk about. Don't say the B word. You can't say the bowl word. We don't say that.
Dave Lotion
we can't talk about it. Well, guess what? Now we've been talking about it for 10 straight years. Dave Lotion does it every week. Yes, he does. But here's the thing, man. People are mad. They're mad that Memphis is going. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Sorry, we'll move this up. Okay. Sorry, John.
Good.
A little bit of a
hey, it's fine.
So just get ready.
Fine. I can
so
take it.
I've been needing this. So this is not you, okay? And I'm not going to mention names. I'm going to keep that part out, okay? Memphis fans need to understand you've been to one New Year's Six bowl in your entire bowl history. Prior to the Liberty Bowl in 2018, the best bowl game you had been to was the Birmingham Bowl against Auburn.
No.
St. Pete.
Bowl,
I mean,
no. GMAC Bowl.
Okay. That was in what? 2004 when we went to the GMAC Bowl. That game was cold as hell. It was raining, and that's when D'Angelo got hurt. And that was against Urban Meyer's Bowling Green team. So
Akron.
I was there. It was so cold.
Akron, I'm talking about the one in Detroit. Sorry.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, yeah, I got you. But I don't understand. I mean, if you want to comment, please do. If you want to shoot me a message on Messenger, that's fine too. Somebody make me understand. We've been to 10 straight bowls and the fans are mad. Why? It's not like we've been going to New Year's Six bowls and been winning conference championships forever, and then now all of a sudden we drop off. Okay? It's just like, for example, right now, Dabo Swinney's seat's hot in Clemson. He's only won 10 ACC championships and 2 national championships, and you want to tell me the guy's seat hot? Man, miss me with that. That is ridiculous. These people out here that just every single week look for something to just, let's fire Silverfold. Let's get him out of there. He's trash. Memphis should be not. I saw a comment yesterday. Memphis should be 9-0 right now. And it's Silverfield's fault we're not. I won't even tell you who made that comment.
Say it.
What? What? Just be happy. You're 6-2. You're going to your 10th straight bowl. And like I said earlier, this is the best record Silverfield's had. Let him enjoy it. Support him. You didn't support him when he was 6-6 the last 2 years, and now he's 6-2. You're like, he sucks as a coach. Get him out of here. You got to fire him. Shut up. I'm so tired of hearing it. I am so tired of hearing it. And guess what? If you don't like what I got to say, listen next week because you're going to hear it again if it continues. It's a recurring theme with this show. I call the fans out. When I see something stupid, I call them out. Don't like it? Sorry. I hate it for you. It's stupid, man. We've won 10. We're going to the 10th straight bowl game. 10. And guess what? Next week, homecoming, John, you know how many people are going to be out there? About 32,000 people.
Where it should be
Possibly.
at least 36 to 37,000.
Exactly. Because guess what? We're 6-2. That place should have 40,000
Right.
people in it. We're 6-2. But no, no. You know what? You want to know why the majority of these people are mad? Is because this team doesn't score like the one in 2019 did. It's because it's not flashy with Mike Norvell. Well, guess what? It's a different coach. It's a different staff. It's a different team. But you know what? You go look at the recruiting job Ryan Silverfield's done. You go look at the portal job Ryan Silverfield's done. And guess what? He's done a heck of a lot better job than Mike Norvell did. Say what you want. Ryan Silverfield can recruit players. Go ahead.
Yeah, take a break for a minute, Wes. Chill out. That's water.
Just saying, man. It pisses me off, man.
I think
because there's no need in it.
I think that's what pisses people off is they're tired of these crappy bowl games. Well, for one thing, it's not our fault that the conference has a bowl. The conference has a bowl tie-in with the Birmingham Bowl, the bowl game in Fenway, the bowl game in St. Pete, the bowl game here, the bowl game there. But it's not our. It's money in ESPN. But where did we go last year again? Just remind me. Forgive me. Oh, Mobile.
You went to Mobile, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the highest paid bowl games out there in the conference. So I guess people that don't. Well, one thing is, yeah, the 2019 had Brady White. Everybody could think of on that football team. I'm not going to bring any more names up because there's so many to name. But we know our fan base wants this year's team and last year's team. Last year's team definitely underachieved. They went 6-6, where they definitely had the talent to win 8 or 9 games last year with that talent that we have. Yeah, this year's offensive team is a little bit better, per se. And I think our fan base, like, for example, I'm going to bring it up again, and I'm so tired of it, but Missouri is number 13 in the dang country right now, according to some voters. Missouri is what? They've only lost 1 game or 2 games, whatever. They lost to LSU, where LSU should have lost that game. Yeah, I guess people are saying Missouri on a neutral site. Oh, the teams were about evenly matched in that game, too. Yeah, you mean to tell me if the game was at Liberty Bowl? Yeah, we would probably have sold out that game if the game was at home because it's an SEC team come to our market. But Missouri is better than what people are saying credit for. They still got to play Tennessee. They still got to play Georgia, Missouri does. So, yeah, Missouri still got to play those 2 teams on their schedule. But I'm happy with this 6-2 record.
Every time Missouri wins, it makes us look better. That's what people don't think about. Every time Missouri wins a game, it makes Memphis look a little bit better. And guess what, John? You brought up a great point, man. Thank you for saying it. Every bowl game Memphis goes to, guess what? The university
7-1 Missouri.
gets money
7-1.
for it.
Yeah.
Still. 7-1. Still. Yeah. And here's the other thing, John. A lot of these people that are online complaining about this crowd, complaining about the team, you know why they're mad? It's because their team doesn't have 6 wins right now. They're mad because they don't even go to the games. They don't even go. They don't go to the games. They just see pictures of people posted online. Oh, my God, this crowd sucks. Oh, man, look at the crowd on the game. God, it's so horrible. Where are you at? No, you ain't there exactly. So
you're watching SEC
we're not
football,
trying to
Wes.
hear that, man. It's just it's time for this Memphis. Exactly. They can't go to the Tiger game at 11 because UT comes on at 11. Or they can't go to the Tiger game at 2 because UT or Ole Miss or whoever comes on at 2:30. My point is this, man. It's very, very, very frustrating to be 6-2, to be going to your 10th straight bowl game, and to see the same fans say the same stupid BS week in, week out about Ryan Silverfield doesn't he doesn't progress talent. Really? Well, then go and look at the portal players that are now in this program that have been here for about a year, maybe two, that are now playing really, really, really well. And guess what? Silverfield's also a hell of a recruiter because he's pulling guys from the SEC. He's pulling guys from Florida State, Malik Feaster. He's pulling Simeon Blair. Blake Watson's probably one of the best portal pickups in the entire nation that no one's talking about.
But like you mentioned, people were blaming, oh, there's better games on TV and all that crap, and I'm just tired of it as well because people can go watch a game for $20 for crying out loud in our stadium. Yeah, they're like $5 in fees, but the fees are $5.
That's it.
Yep. I'm gonna say another thing. I know we talked about it, but off air, of course. But I'm gonna blame the city of Memphis kind of for this as well, because in years past, me and Toby Field used to be free for parking. For example, I never seen parking prices this high on a city of Memphis property. Yeah, people can Uber and whatnot, but who really wants to pay $30 to $40 to Uber each way? But parking prices is outrageous for one thing at our stadium. We saw it when you came in town for the Boise game. $30 to park close to you where you parked at the event center. $20 now to park at Toby Field. $20 to park at CBU. Nobody really wants to pay that, which I'm going to give our fan base a little bit of credit for that because if you're bringing a family of four, you're going to be spending at least $80 on tickets. Let's say about $80 on food and drink. And then about $30 to $40 on parking to $20 on parking. And people are
no cash though for that food or drink. Don't you bring cash in that Liberty Bowl? You ain't buying nothing.
But also, want to say I want to give our fan base a little bit of credit for that as well. But the thing is, I also know that the game times that we've had also have never been helpful as well this year, kinda as well. The Boise
Which
State
is
game,
something
for example,
else that Memphis cannot control. Fans think that Laird Veach is like, well, I got a tea time at 2:30 today. We need to play at 11 that week. Shut up. They can't control it. It's ESPN, man. But I will say this, John.
Yeah,
a lot of it, and I know this because I've had conversations with former ESPN producers. Memphis being 6-2 means you might start seeing some primetime games for us. So that's a positive. That's another positive of us being 6-2. Go ahead.
And I also want to say, you made a great point because, like you said, now if you beat USF, you beat Charlotte. Worst case scenario, you're probably looking at like a 6:00 game time now for the SMU game, maybe on a bigger. Not saying it's going to be on ABC like College Game Day was that one year, but you can definitely see it on like an ESPNU or an ESPN2 now regarding that as well. Because the 6:30 kick for SMU, you'll definitely have at least 40,000 people at that one football game, I think, as well. Because not saying that because it's senior day and whatnot, but that 40,000 people would look nice in that stadium because, one, they're leaving for the ACC next year. We want to show just how much SMU might miss out in the American in the future.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing is, that team's scoring a lot of freaking points right now. I think they've scored over 100 points in the last 3 games. They're scoring
I know it's Tulsa last week, but
you
good grief.
Up a great point, John. Yeah, you're 6-2 right now. You beat South Florida, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, and homecoming coming up. You makes you 7-2. You beat Charlotte after that. That would make you 8-2. Yeah, so then you're looking at 9-2 going into an SMU game with the potential of being possibly 10-2 going into a Temple team at the very end of the season. It's shaping up where Memphis could possibly be having to take a trip down to Nolans to take on Tulane if they can control destiny. That's the thing. I know fans have no faith in Ryan Silverfield and this staff controlling their own destiny, but we do. Memphis controls their own destiny for this season.
Absolutely.
John, it's time for grades, man. So we're going to start with let's start with the offense, man. Give me
I'm going to go ahead and say, sorry, I hate to say it, the offense started great. Led 31-7, but second half where you should have basically put Tevin. Where there's a chance you could put your second string guys in like Tevin Carter and the other players out there, and basically like the Cowboys were up 39 to whatever against the Rams today. That type of score. But easily, you could easily have at least maybe like a 30-point lead in the middle of the third quarter where you could at least put your other bench players in the game per se. So, yeah, you started out great, but the second half, no show until like the last minute of the ball game. So I'll say it's C.
Yeah, I'm going to give the offense a B minus. Also, real quick, John, breaking news: Memphis basketball final down at the FedEx Forum, a 106-49 victory over Lane College in the exhibition game today. So a little bit of light work there for Penny and the boys today. They just won the game by like damn near 50 points. So, John, I'm gonna give the offense today or yesterday a B minus. I thought offensively we played well. I think the running attack, the resurgence of our running attack, I think we're starting to see now, as we've talked about today, just how deep that running back room really can be with Ducker. Who we really haven't seen, but Brandon Thomas, the resurgence of him, obviously Blake Watson, and then the sensational sophomore who is Sutton Smith. This is where I give a little bit of a different grade, John. Defensively, I give this team I give them a C minus, maybe even a D plus. We've got to figure out. It's twofold, John. We got to move the ball. We got to move the chains on offense, right? But defensively, we got to figure out how to stop somebody. Please, just stop somebody. I don't even care if you stop them by a half yard. You just stop them. Man, it's like a slow leak, and that leak just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you look up, and Memphis has given up 32 unanswered points to North Texas, and we're clawing literally to win the game. I think defensively, I don't want to make the statement this team has to get better because I don't think they're bad defensively. I just think we've got to. We talked about it. I'll talk about it in a minute. Anyway, defensive grade, freaking D plus. Go ahead.
I'll give another C minus. Well, this time a C minus. First half started out great. You only held them to 10 points. But still, no excuse in the second half. You gave up too many big plays at times. The good thing is, I guess, like we talked about, the quarterback was mobile at times, like he was against Tulane, and you stopped him for like a loss or like a short gain. 3 sacks, like you mentioned, but still no excuse giving up big play after big play. I know you're on the field a lot because your offense is not doing anything at times, but still, there's no excuse. You still got to turn around. You still got to play like Ryan has mentioned numerous times this year. I'm still waiting for a 4 full quarter defensive performance. Whether you held somebody to 0 points, 3 points, or 7 points. I don't want to see no more 10 to 14 points on that scoreboard from another opposition team. So, no, C minus for defense.
Well, I want to see a 4 quarter from the team.
Yeah.
John, I agree. Defensively, I agree 100%. I want to see it from this team. And I honestly, man, I really thought to myself yesterday, I was like, this is it, man. Memphis, and I almost said this on social media. In my head, I'm thinking we are making a statement right now. You know what I'm saying? Like we're making a statement to these guys. You're new to our conference. You're not going to come in and beat us. We don't care at all. This is our conference. Memphis is hanging around where everybody else is trying to leave. But I got to see it for 4 quarters, man. I got to give this team a C minus yesterday for a grade. I thought offensively we played good. I thought defensively we played I got to see it for 4 quarters, man. And maybe it's this week against South Florida. I don't know. Maybe it's next week at Charlotte. I don't know. But something's got to give in a sense of I know it's there. I've seen it in quarter increments. I've seen it in halves against Boise State. We saw it in the second half against UAB. But this week in the second half was not what I wanted to see, man.
Yeah,
It was hard to watch. Like I said earlier, I had to walk and pray. I said some things that my grandmother would be upset about. But
I agree with you.
yeah, man, C minus, a
I
C
want to
minus,
see.
man.
I want to see the reason that Memphis is predicted to win 9 or 10 games this year with the talent that we got on both sides of the football, and even at special teams. I don't want to see, like you mentioned, I do want to see
Yeah.
a 4 full quarter performance. I want to see why the media has Memphis at 9 or 10 wins. I want to finish the game where we don't have to pray to God and say, God, please let's win this game. Please let's, every week because of the performances where teams are coming back, whatnot. But yeah, C minus. Hopefully next week, like you said, against South Florida, which we'll talk about next. But guys, please just finish the game 4 full quarters for our fans because, man, rough, man. We shouldn't have to worry like we did
It's
last week.
rough, man. And speaking of, you ain't kidding. So speaking of fans, John, I know I've kind of been harping on this.
Uh-huh.
Um, you and I've been fans for a long time, right? Honestly, probably much longer than some of these people that don't like the current regime. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so homecoming is this week. It's going to be a big game. South Florida comes to town, a team that, if you look at it historically, there's been times Memphis has played well against them. There's been times at South Florida, Quinn Flowers back in the day, a little quarterback that tore us up a little bit. But man, when you look at South Florida, this is a game that I want to see Memphis make a statement at home. Silverfield's really good at home. This football team is really good at home. And you look at the last home game Memphis had, Boise State. The fans came out. There was a lot of fanfare. There's a lot of excitement. Of course, the 2003 team was there that had a lot of excitement to it. But John, homecoming next week, man. South Florida comes to town. I mean, I'll say I expect a Memphis win. Of course, I'll give my prediction Tuesday night on the show. But I don't want to say we're 6-2. It's not a must win, but we need to win the game.
I know the South Florida team is 4-4, 2-2 in the conference. It's stacked. Our conference is stacked up from top to bottom right now, pretty crazy. But I don't want to see a team. I want to see. Hopefully, Memphis will be watching the South Florida Alabama film because South Florida has held Alabama to 17 points in that game where they only scored 3 points on offense. But still, I see a South Florida team as a dangerous team. The predicted right now, they got Memphis rated by 12.5. It looks like on the wager. But heck, South Florida, they lost to Western Kentucky 41-24 the first game. Beat Florida Atlantic A&M 38-24. Lost to Alabama 17-3 in a nasty weather game.
So
the thing that worries me is they're scoring a lot of points on offense in their conference games, Wes. 42 points against Rice, 44 against Navy. They lost the game to UAB where they scored 35 points. They also played Florida Atlantic where they lost 56-14. And then they beat UConn 24-21. So, like our guys in the post-game show said last week, Matt Dillon and the gang, the offense for us need to be clicking on all cylinders as well because South Florida has definitely given up a lot of total yards on defense where they've given up 462 yards defensively on 246 passing and 190 yards rushing. And to me personally, this could be another high-scoring affair. It really well can be. The way especially our defense came out the second half and came out against Tulane in that collapse as well. But our defense is better be ready, and because it looks like the South Florida quarterback is up there in stats as well with their top in the American as well.
Yeah, he's another quarterback that can play well. It's another team in the American that you can't sleep on. Go ask Nick Saban. I guarantee you, Nick Saban's still thinking about South Florida and being down there. This is it. I mean, and we'll get fully into it on Tuesday night. But man, big time game, homecoming. I expect to see Memphis ambush the student section. I expect to see it lit. No pun intended there, but yeah, just make sure they're having fun. Make sure they have a good time. I'd like to see a good Tiger faithful out there. I know my family will be there, yours as well, and many more around the city of Memphis. But when you got Tiger hoops going on, man, you got Tiger football, you got Tiger baseball. John had a little last fall ball game today down in Swayze against Ole Miss. We are working on stats now to get sent over to us so we can inform you of that. Plus, you got volleyball playing today. You got soccer in the tournament coming up, both men's and women's. It's an exciting time to be a Memphis Tiger fan. But John, before we get out of here, man, real quick, what's your final thoughts? Just maybe a little note to Tiger Nation, maybe, or what do you got?
Just go out and support the guys or ladies, whether it's like you mentioned, women's soccer and volleyball. Just go out and support the city. They're your hometown team for a reason. I know a lot of fall sports are picking up again regarding basketball and etc. And soccer might be still going on at one time, but if you got nothing going on at 2:00, buy a ticket on Go Tigers Go website, or buy a ticket from a scalper at the game, or even go up to the ticket window Saturday afternoon and go out and support this fine football team, because 1, they deserve it. 2, they got great food at the game. 3, they got just the overall. Overall, they even got
cool environment. Man.
Wes, they even got Corky's now for barbecue nachos, so you can't go wrong there either. But long story short, go out and support the guys. They definitely need it. Stuff. Right, but they definitely deserve all the support they can get, especially when they got to go on the road the next game as well. And I hope it's a nice homecoming ground. I mean, homecomings are always nice because they always do have a lot of alumni that do show up at the games as well. So go out and support them. Let's hope that we have at least my ball figure. I'm hoping at least 37,000 for this game. But yeah, that's how I feel. Oh yeah, and also another thing. Yeah, any players that got injured, that are injured from this past week's game or the injuries from the battle, you stay healthy the best way you can on your rehab. And I also saw where Rock Taylor got injured against North Texas yesterday as well. So prayers to him if he is battling an injury long term, which is a day-to-day process regarding that. So prayers to any players that are battling injuries for the Memphis Tigers, not only football but other sports as well.
Yeah, man, no doubt. It's a grueling season, no matter what sports you're playing, whether that's football or rugby for that matter. It doesn't matter. But to just back what John just said, get out and support these guys. They're 6-2. They're going to their 10th straight bowl game. That's something that no other group of 5 team in the nation can say. No other group of 5. And I don't care. Oh, they're a group of 5. Shut up. I don't care. 10 straight. Get out and support this football team, man. They're having fun. Silverfield's working hard. This staff is working hard. Keep in mind, also, these people have families. So when you trash these guys online, you're also trashing their families. Just something you might want to think about there. But for John Sturdivant, I am Wes Pruitt. You have been inside the Tigers Den today, talking all things Tiger football. But we will be back Tuesday night to break down Memphis Tiger hoops, Memphis Tiger baseball. Plus, we'll talk about a player who formerly was a Memphis Tiger who is playing really well right now for an SEC team as well. All that and more on the Tigers Den coming up Tuesday night right here on the 4 Star Sports Radio Network. But as always, go Tigers.
Absolutely.